All right, let's talk to.
Kimberly
Thank you,
Brooke.
thank you, Liam O'Brien, Sergeant. Thank you. And let's talk to Major
Jason took us with
Kimberly.
you. He was pretty impressed with you back there. And nothing impresses that guy.
You're
You're pretty
doing
good at
great, new
firefighting.
guy.
I need you to check in with Dalton.
It's
We've got an
common type
ignored
of
problem with
storytelling.
chemicals.
You're the newbie, but you're doing
Wasn't
exceptionally
your guy
well.
stuck in
So
the
you
wire?
basically climb the chain
That's
of
him.
command.
Head to
Although,
the
given the
fence.
fact
See what's
that
going
Ryder
down.
isn't in the film, I'm wondering if something bad is going to happen to them.
Yeah, that was my question from the beginning. How are we fitting in with what the status quo at the beginning of the movie is? What will the progression between the war between the RDA and the Navy will be if by the beginning of the movie, yes, you do have a skill that allows you to go Sonic level of fast. Um, if the
Thank you.
war is basically at a stale and the Navy believes that the humans are mostly Pacific, at least
Hey, Ryder.
the ones that
Seems
have
like
been
every time I see
infiltrating
you, there's
them.
trouble. We've
The
got
okay,
breaches
you
in
have
your
to understand
defense.
one thing that the
But if a
movie did
breach
not
causes one
explain
thing,
well.
Viper
Pandora is
wolves.
super big, so
Got
there
it.
are
I'm
a
checking
lot
all
of
vents.
different
I need you on the
communities of
south
Navi
wall. Check
scattered
the
throughout the
sonic
entire
pulses.
place.
Those things are meant to repel
And the movie
enemies. For
tackles
some
mostly
reason,
just
they're attracting
one of
them.
them,
Gotta
one
fix that.
important one in that, sure, but it's just one of them. This game actually does the job better in mentioning that there are different ones scattered all over Pandora, and they have different points of connection with each other, which I argue is something probably that the sequels will also tackle about. You know, um, but again, we'll have to see that in due time. For the time being, we just need to complete again these missions in this training area.
I do wonder, like, okay, would you say the game makes it obvious from the get-go that it's a prequel, or is this like one of those things where it
No,
turns
no, no.
out,
It's literally marketed. It's either on the box or something.
okay, so like
And
says,
if that's not enough of of a hint towards you, later as the story goes on, the pieces will start to fall into place in order to reach the status quo that is at the beginning of the movie. Mind you, there are multiple endings for the campaign, so only one of them is actually the canonical one.
oh boy,
Um,
and I guess we'll get to see them all one way or another. Also, I will
yes,
say this, I do dig how, in a good world setting, they do actually have variants of certain species. Like this one has a more red viper wolf as opposed to the more
yeah, so we have
black that
different
we've
types
seen
of viper
before.
wolf or the deer-like creatures. We also do remember the fact that they are sensible to sonic weapons, which it will be basically a constant. Even one of your skills is a sonic like grenade. Even the navies are surprisingly affected by that.
Also,
Interestingly,
is this one of those games where there's predator going after prey, but the minute you come in, they'll just run away from the prey just to try and dogpile you?
no, the prey rarely attacks you unless they're provoked. Even most of the time, they might run from you unless they're one of the bigger ones. Like the bull-like creatures. Or the flying fuckers.
Uh huh.
Most
And
most of the time, you will have to confront with viper wolves. It's not like they don't have enemy variety, but the viper wolves are very easily the enemies that you encounter the most. There we go.
wait, where'd the music go? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
it cuts out because there's auto saving. You may see that. Let's also talk about the HUD. Yeah, believe it or not, it took me a while to actually notice my L bar. It's that thing, that column on the left. Believe it or not.
Wait, the top left or the
No,
side
no, no.
left?
The sign left. The cyan blue bar. That is there with the zero. The zero is there for a good reason, which will become apparent later.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's your L bar. When you're not engaged in combat, it regenerates normally. But while you're in combat, it does not. Again, another interesting variation from the average shooter of the time, where it was very generous in just giving you magical L regenerating powers. About that. And it's also relatively generous in how it handles potentially game overs. But I will have to talk about that at a later point where it becomes more apparent. Also, I would really appreciate also if the camera cooperated. Gotta go
Sonic
faster.
speed.
Yes. Speed is only what's the name? What's the line? Speed is the only thing that makes me feel alive anymore or something.
At least it's better than nectar.
Heh.
Uh,
Alright, next mission, because I managed to pull out all the sonic
All the sonic
emitters.
pulses are fixed. No more viper
Sorry,
wolves.
sonic pulses.
Great. Officer Midori said to find
I'm here, dude.
Hey, listen, I
There,
told
thank
Falco
you.
helped
Ladies
set
and
the scan on the
gentlemen,
Navy
we
base.
have fixed
Everyone is fully
Sonic.
attended.
Appreciate it.
No problem. He said watch the skies. He's sending a dragon ship to activate the scan. Watch for it, huh?
Cool.
Also the dragon.
She's
Yeah,
saying,
Jota,
"Ah,
remember the
I'm
joke in the
not going
movie? Not the joke, but the line, Papa Dragon and everything. That's because the Dragon is the actual type of airship that the RDA is using. All of them do have code names like Scorpion and stuff like that. So it was just a poorly delivered line from the actor.
Ah, there you go then.
I will also use this to talk about something on a completely different note because it got reminded of something. You know how at the Ubisoft conference of 2021, I mean this year by the time we're recording this, we were confused about that movie adaptation that we thought was not about a game, something about werewolves.
Oh yeah, that.
It's actually based on a game. Like, we just completely ignored it because I think it's a VR title.
Yeah, wait. I feel like we
I'll-
did clarify on that.
No,
sometime.
no, we did. I don't think we didn't. But in case, yeah, because again, at least I, for myself, believe it was just out of nowhere. So I probably should have done a bit more research in that.
Which is a shame. It seemed like an interesting concept, honestly.
Follow that signal.
And I feel like something that
Are
probably
you
could have
always
worked out.
glued, officer? Are you always glued at that phone?
I
Good
wonder,
job,
honestly.
defenses.
Oh
Time
wait,
to get
no.
you into
Apparently,
your
it's not glued to her cheek.
Sounds good.
All right, it's time to take a ride in our
As I was
avatar.
fixing the repulsors, I could tell someone physically inverted the wires.
You think it's the mole?
It has to
Yeah,
be.
apparently there might be a mole in this particular operation that the RDA is having.
The Navi are discovering
I will
human
give him credit. The
hospitality.
fact that it's a
And
prequel
big
does mean
surprise,
that obviously
they
we
don't like
won't
what
be
they
doing
see.
any of those bog
This place
standard
is a
obvious
fabric
things of
waiting
like,
to blow.
oh, this character
That's
can't be
another
the
story.
mole, or
It's
this
time for you to
character is
find out
obviously
your
the mole
avatar.
because they're from the movie and we know. the
No,
role and
any
whatnot.
character who might have questionable moralities, always there's a good cast of original characters to accompany the pre-existing one from the movie.
That's wise.
Not to mention, also, I know that it's probably a given, but we're not gonna run into Sam Worthington's character because this is 2 years before he actually arrives on Pandora.
I'm so sad we don't get to see we don't get to see the massive ball of charisma that is Sam Worthington.
Honestly, I kind of feel sorry for Sam Worthington. Like, imagine you're part of, well, no other way to put it, the highest grossing film of all time. You'd think you'd be set, but no, he wasn't really after that film.
But that's because Joby, he has all the he's got all the charisma of a wall. That's
All right, as your avatar, for the time being, you're only armed with a standard machine gun. Later on, you will be able to get more proper, more conventional weapons, more suited for the Navi.
I do get what you mean, though, Drews, which, I'll admit, I never do get people who say that, oh, his character was more charismatic than John Connor's in Terminator
So, yeah,
Salvation. Like, nah.
The Navi in terms of mechanics functions kind of similar also to the humans. We just have more nature-based stuff like animals they can ride. And yes, I'm gonna reserve an entry specifically for the Navy mating practices because that shit's
goody.
hilarious. So I'm not gonna read it. I'm not gonna read it now, even if it seems like I'm dwindling on it. Anyway, they also have the equivalent of the teleporter kind of thing, even if it's like, again, an organic thing all based on the trees, kind of like. But as you will see in a second, the main gimmick about the Navi is that if you kill, in tune with the message of the movie, that the Navis should not, by any circumstances, kill the fauna of Pandora, if you killed actually any while you're in avatar form, you do not gain experience with that. As a trade-off, however, you can recover more resources from different plants, and parts of the nature, which in turn will allow you to survive longer. But more on that later as well.
Yeah, whatever. Listen, head over to meet Dr. Harper and his Avatar team. Harper's the chief of the Avatar.
Also, I never understood another thing in the movie, how your avatar, your avatar, has the same vocal cord length as your human host, which is so weird.
Also, I do love how they made clothes specifically for the Navi avatars to still fit in with
To be
the
fair,
military.
it is something. Remember, it's something that was also in the movie with
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver's character.
Mhm.
Yeah, you have to remember, the RDA has this kind of infiltration program where they send totally clueless soldiers to bond with the Navi only in order to surprise attack them because they're evil military people. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
The Navi also have their own set of dude.
Okay. That
moving
happened.
swiftly on.
Tio, Tio, that's the thing. That he said in the last part, think of a question and the encyclopedia will probably answer it.
Go
for us.
ahead.
The mating question was what I was going to ask.
Don't worry, Dweebs, your wish will be granted in that extra part.
I actually read a few snippets on that thing, and I can see why we're gonna get a few chuckles out of it.
For a reminder of the audience, as an Avatar Pandora's Run is less aggressive to you. That's bullshit, by the way. But killing it doesn't give you experience. No shit. Viper Wolves will still attack you if you actually get close to them.
Viper Wolves are dicks to everyone, aren't they?
Which, to be fair, it is in line also with what the movie does. Pandora is basically a death world where it's about kill or be killed. It's only the Navi who have a pacifism kind of route, kind of mentality on them. So while I do commend that, it can be a bit annoying gameplay-wise. Ouch. But anyways, a reminder for the audience, we did watch the theatrical cut because that's a version on Disney+.
Dr. Harper, I presume.
And it's the one that cuts away the sex scene, supposedly.
Straight to it.
Anyway, Dr. Harper here is voiced by Ron Orbach, or Orbach.
I'm sure we'll be the best of friends. Or the worst of enemies.
Subtle.
I'm not here to make
Yeah,
enemies.
fucking subtle, man.
We'll get along just fine. Now, please, go and assist my associates.
He even has a voice that sounds sinister.
Let me see. He voiced a character called Leon in GTA Liberty City Stories. No, this guy also actually was a TV actor. He's mostly been in TV stuff.
You really
I guess,
haven't had it with the scanner, I see. Sorry.
To be fair, I'm mostly kind of curious. You have to remember, Jova, what they said also in the previous part. Even if it's more annoying even if I understand the potential annoyance, I'm kind of a sucker for anything that has a data log, just for the sake of receiving information.
I love how the models are moving because they're being
Yes,
attacked by the Viper Wolves. It's
Yeah, like I said, interrupting NPCs.
This is fine.
Ow.
We're just literally getting
Ow.
mauled by these
It's like
guys.
having hiccups.
What the fuck?
Holy
Someone
shit.
pulling them back and forth with a rope.
Technically, it's the Viper Wolves attacking them, but still, though. I love how NPCs just stand still as this stuff is happening. Like, no,
Again,
this
Jova,
is
it will
fine.
get better, trust me.
Really? Like,
Let's go.
Again, it's not even a glitch or anything. It's basically the game's intended function, basically, because they have the idea that you can have these conversations without having cutscene that interrupts the game flow, which I do commend, but it does create potentially these kind of awkward moments.
what makes it better is that the models actually do noticeably move during cutscenes when they're being attacked. Also, horse gameplay, neat.
Again, like I said, the Navi supplied the lack of vehicles with, interacting with the fauna of Pandora.
Again, that is always one of the big missed opportunities I feel is about the movies. Like, why couldn't it
Although,
just
to be fair, as you can see, it seems that Ubisoft missed the memo because your Navi does not connect their
I was about
tail
to-
tentacles to the horse. So I wonder if James Cameron only give them like the food and the cliff notes when it came to the movie.
Okay,
And
to be
its
fair,
major elements.
I wonder if this is one of the animals that just responds well with the Navi, because I guess, to be fair...
No, you remember, even in the movie, every time you get to a horse, you need to connect to it in order to establish the bond.
Was this horse in the movie?
Yes, sir. Remember, the Navi has to do it with any animal we interact with, because Pandora has this like symbiotic relationship where every creature can connect to each other via their tendrils, and can establish a communion with each other.
Oh, then in that case,
Oh, there
yeah,
we go.
I'm confused.
You can gather stuff from the plants, like I said, as a Navi. If you collect enough, organic cells, as they're labeled. As you can see on the left, that small white bit near your health bar. If you collect them enough, you will have an extra life, basically. Every time you get gunned down, you can down a dose of medicine, which is represented by the number under your health bar, and you will be revived instantly, no strings attached, meaning that, you're incentivized to actually collect these samples in order to to maximize your chances of survival. As a human, it's more difficult to actually find them, but you can actually find them by killing the actual, animals of Pandora. Again, it's a bit of a trade-off. The Navis have more, potential survival, while humans have a more offensive capability.
Which, makes sense because they have to be. Whereas with Navis, while you don't get any benefits from killing, you can still kill. However, in the long run, that could hurt you because, you want to gain the XP to get stronger here.
This, as you can imagine, all culminates in the game multiplayer mode, which apparently, from what I've seen, did run for a long time. The servers were shut down in August 2014, 5 years after the release of a mobile game. So there were a lot of people who played it for actually a while at this.
If they made good maps and had good enough gameplay, I can see it running along for that. I mean,
considering the variety of the gameplay alone, I think that was an incentive for them. Again, it makes it so obvious the fact that that Ubisoft retained the license and now is actually handling the next video game. It's pretty obvious that Disney were like, well, yeah, these guys seem to have done a decent enough job the first time. Let's keep them for the next Avatar game.
That being said, given how Ubisoft back then, I'm
I know
Ubisoft.
that.
Don't worry. I mean, I wasn't shaming you.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure Ubisoft back then also still had the habits that have been discovered recently. It's just a matter of they weren't that known.
Well, that said, though,
all right, I think it's about now. Let me see if it's now one of the best cutscenes in the entire game, as you will see.
Thanks.
Yeah, there you go. I parked my horse right there, if I recall.
Wait, what?
Hold on. Wait for it. It just literally clipped through.
The horse was like, this is fine. I'ma just phase out. And did just that. The thing literally slipped right through him. But, yeah.
Tangela is voiced by Andrea Soliuzzo. As you can imagine, all the Navis have, an accent put on them, so it's up to your discretion to see how much insensitive that might be.
I mean, I don't know what they're supposed to be accent-wise, so I don't know how offended I should be.
The closest I could find is the equivalent of a Native American accent.
I mean, okay, to be fair, they're a completely different alien species, so...
Well, you remember the parallels in the movie are also very evident.
Yes, they were, but...
Remember, this was still also the age where hiring, people and doing accents of any kind, was still mostly just, accepted widely without questioning stuff. And to be fair, I'm not blaming the voice actors themselves, they were just doing the job they were asked. So
okay, unlike something like Pocahontas, this one doesn't have the weight on its shoulders that it needed to portray stuff real life. Allegory or not, okay, something being an allegory for something doesn't mean that it has to be all true to it.
It's now, also very
sorry. Okay, now say it is actually directly the source material itself, like a Pocahontas, where yes, Pocahontas was supposed to be about the actual natives. Then that one has more of a responsibility to be, proper, accents and everything. Whereas this one, again, yes, the allegories are obvious, but I guess I wouldn't call it racial insensitivity given that it's technically not Native Americans, it's just...
I would also say it never goes into Jar Jar Binks level of territory, so there is that. At least English dub Jar Jar Binks. But... let me also go this to also raise a potential good question. Because I'm a bit fascinated. I was discussing this on the SSMB, I think a couple of months ago with another user. But I'm kind of fascinating how there never seems to be a complete general idea or regard, on accents done by non the people that are not of that specific ethnic, particularly Japanese voice acting. American voice acting what wants to have a Japanese accent, because there are cases like say Warhammer 40k video games with the Tau, or more recently stuff that we covered with Sly 4, with Rachel Cooper, for example, where it's very thick as an accent. Also stuff like Samurai Jack, where we have Phil Lamar and more recently the person who replaced Mako,
Baldwin.
Greg Baldwin, which do perform a very decent accent. Nobody really complained. But then you have cases like, again, the Viceroys from Star Wars Episode 1, which instead were widely criticized. Again, since I'm not an expert in all the logistics behind voice acting and how accurate they might be, there are cases where they don't sound too different in my ears, and yet they are actually weighted in different kind of measures. So I'm actually wondering what's the actual criteria upon which they might be judged. Of course, it's definitely different than someone trying to pull up something more blatant, like we mentioned, having natives for Pocahontas and stuff like that, obviously. But it's still an interesting question that I hope I will have, I will actually manage to find an answer someday.
All right.
Anyway, next mission, which Commander Falco. Yeah, apologies also, because of the autosaving, the audio gets screwed up a couple of times.
That's such a weird thing for a game to do. And yes, I get that some games were doing it, but come on. By this point, I feel like, you could have done
2009 drove us, still it was the early years of a PS3.
Oh, so is this like a thing exclusive to the PS3 version?
No, it's from the HD version, but I wager on the Xbox 360 it works better.
I mean, okay, if autosaving causes that problem, then why not just give pauses, like, white or black screens?
That's the thing. That's the thing too. Like beyond the original PS3 version of Beyond Two Souls also pauses whenever it's auto-saving. So
I know it's so inconsistent because as you also didn't notice and told me. Sorry. A lot of games with autosaves do have these problems, but others with autosaves actually do not. So it's not. Originally I thought it was just a problem of my console being old, but it probably is not even that. So it's something probably tied to the software itself, probably maybe the engine upon which this is rendered. But again, it makes a bit of a jarring experience where you're trying to play, but your cutscene is fucked up because of audio glitches. I also encountered one recently in one of Ratchet & Clank games as well, unfortunately. Anyway, the engine is actually an internal one for Ubisoft, two specifically, Dunia and Jade. I don't remember, I think one of them was the Beyond Good and Evil one, I think.
Easy there.
Yes, there you go. The Jade was developed for Beyond Good and Evil, and it was used later for stuff like Rabbids Go Home, and it was basically the prototype for the UbiArt framework. Well, let me see. Dunia. Let me see. The Dunia engine was basically a joint also with Cry engine, originally devised by Crytek, and the first that tried to implement that was the first Far Cry in 2004. So it's a combination of things. Alright, now it's time to confront finally the spy, which have been built up if you paid attention to the dialogue.
So who is the spy?
Gee,
Yeah, take a more
I
guess,
wonder
Dweebs.
who it could
Oh,
be.
they popped up.
Yep, it was Dr. Harper. I must be a wizard. I mean, I'm sure that had nothing to do with his sinister-sounding voice or his ominous dialogue.
It's alright, let's hold him at gunpoint until the cavalry arrives.
Let me guess, he did it because we were corrupting this world and he was trying to stop us.
Just listen.
It's you. You're the mole.
Is that what you're here for? Find the mole.
Wow, thanks for confirming that.
I'm the mole. Great work, Ryder. I smell promotion in the air.
Do you realize what you're doing?
Think about what you're doing.
Oh God.
Any of this look familiar?
Wait, that's...
Yeah, that's where the Na'vi used to live. Before you stepped in.
me. I didn't do
Yes,
this.
we're doing this job at the whole. I didn't know that my orders had these
Oh
consequences.
my God, this is Spec Ops: The Line all over
They
again.
told me it was...
Except with less tact.
Yeah.
Mind, I wasn't. From what I've seen, the Spec Ops The Line, I wasn't a huge fan of that. How that handled things either.
It's much better in there. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's basically your turning point now, which is one of the main selling points of the game for even its single-player campaigns. What will you choose? Will you side with a Na'vi and reject humanity, return to Na'vi, or will you obey your orders like a loyal dog and kill them all?
Let me
Same with
guess.
the humans.
Can I pick the third option?
Kill everyone. I wish there was an option like that, kind of like in Singularity, but sadly, no, it's not like that.
So let me guess. There are two different endings, one based off of each different campaign.
Basically. So we will see what side we choose in part 3 of that, so stay tuned.
I think I
Yeah.
do get what you mean about one being canon one. I'm guessing it's... Well, it's probably... then again, okay, you know what? Maybe I don't know, but I was gonna guess it obviously has to be the human one because otherwise we would have heard about an uprising in the ranks already going on by the time of the movie.
We'll see. See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.